So Bracher then goes towards the middle of the book into describing different kinds of pedagogy models that people employ, right? And I'm going to briefly talk about it. Of course, I can't give an exhaustive account of it because there is too much detail in the book, and I do encourage you to read it, right? So first one that he talks about is the authoritarian pedagogy, right? The discourse of the master. This is the kind of pedagogy in which Freire also criticizes, right? In which the professor has all the right answers, right? And in this kind of pedagogy, we offer solutions to all the problems. We know what is right in a text, right? It's all about, giving our authoritative voice to the text, and the student's job is to absorb it and reproduce it. The way it can be destructive, of course, is that, for example, let's say I'm a secular humanist entering a classroom of people who believe in different faiths. Now, if I just believe in absolute, veracity of my own belief system, which is being an atheist or a secular, I mean, I'm not saying I am all that, but this is a hypothesis. Then whatever I deliver, it doesn't matter which text we are reading, the students who are faith-based, right, who believe in something larger than themselves and think that that is an important part of their identities would already be stressed, right? So they would close you out. No amount of sermonizing or telling them about how great this book is and what it teaches us is going to impact them, because the way you're teaching it, the way you're delivering it has already, reached a point where they will close you off, not because they hate you or hate your ideas, but because the general impulse is to defend your own identity, right? And these are the students who can sometimes become disruptive. These are the students, if they are not disruptive, they will become depressed, and hence you will end up doing more damage to their identities, right? So the discourse of the master. It can also be read as where the professor presents his or herself as the ultimate model to emulate, right? This is what I do, here is how I do it, and you should follow my path to do well in this course, but also in life. And it can also trigger the same kind of response from the students. Another one is what Bracher calls the establishment pedagogy, the discourse of the university. Right? We are all familiar with it because especially with graduate students, when we are trying to teach them in a certain subfield of our discipline, what we consider that this is job well done is when we can teach them this is how your subfield works, these are the texts you need to learn, and this is what you need to reproduce or keep producing in, right? It can be very discipline specific. It can be very subfield specific. And in the end, it also just focuses the students on learning the discipline itself and not doing anything beyond it. And then those who are not interested in it, of course, feel left out, right? Feel not acknowledged, not recognized, and the pedagogy ends up being pretty ineffective, right? Because also it is not doing anything other than just teaching the discipline itself, right? Then, he talks about what we do most of the times, the liberal professors, which he calls the resistance or protest pedagogy, right? The discourse of the hysteric. I mean, he's using these psychoanalysis Lacanian terms, right? And the same problem with that is that we get so caught up about social change, right? Without realizing that in order for our students to get invested in that social change, in equity, in justice, we first have to enhance their identities, that even becomes an issue for them, right? So critical pedagogy, as for example, does a great job of incorporating the students' input into teaching. But the problem occurs where we just assume that without having done any work on enhancing their identities, we can expect our students to now make that leap and become these changers of reality and all. And that's where it falters, because, I mean, think of it this way. So many people write these days about their experiences in the classroom. Not every student who enters your classroom is going to be progressive and liberal. Now, the question is, how do we create a classroom in which someone who may not be progressive, right, but they can also feel a part of the class, and maybe in the process of interacting with the professors and with others without judgment, maybe their identity is enhanced a little bit, where they can say, fine, these are my ideas, but I can live with these as well. So the protest pedagogy, by being too maybe overtly political, can also be deeply harmful if we don't take into account the students' own identity needs, right?